Goose Board of Trustees to order. The time is 6:52 and we are now in session. We will ask Mr. Sampson, was this meeting properly posted?
Yes, it was.
And do we have a quorum?
Yes, we do.
All right, then for the record, we have 5 members present and 2 absent. We will now turn the program over to Mrs. Jackson for opening exercises.
Okay, this meeting is called to order. We want to recognize everyone. Good evening, President Clem, Dr. O'Brien, and the board members, and our audience. Our opening exercises will be presented by our high school valedictorians. And then we will start with our prayer led by Board President Ricky Clem. Will everyone please rise?
Please bow your head with me. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great celebration we've just witnessed with our top 10 students. We pray for their success as they go on to college, and we pray for a great many of them to come back and join us in Baytown with their success. We ask you to guide and lead us tonight as we make decisions that will impact our community and our school district. And we ask for safe travel home. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, at this time, if I can ask our valedictorians to come up. Our Pledge of Allegiance and Texas Pledge will be led by Puneet Singh from Goose Creek Memorial, Adriana Mullen from Impact, Lindsay Fox from Robert E. Lee, and Megan Ondak from Ross S. Sterling, and Leanne Vincent from Stewart Tech Career Center. Okay, we could ask Coach Martinez to come up and do the recognitions for our state qualifier.
Good evening, everyone. Dr. O'Brien, President Clem, and the rest of the board. Thank you for having us here tonight on a special evening. With me, I have Coach Toomer, who's the head football coach, campus coordinator, Ross S. Sterling, and Assistant Athletic Director, Greg Smith. The 2 individuals that are next to me I'm about to talk about. It's kind of funny here. Well, I'm going to speak about Cameron Chen first, okay? Cameron is a student athlete at Sterling High School. He's been a member of the track team for 4 years. And I want to start off on a negative note. Last year, his season ended on a false start. And for those who don't know track, if you start before everybody else, you automatically are disqualified from the race. So that's how his season ended last year. Didn't leave a good taste in his mouth, obviously. He wanted to come back and prove a point this year. So that's a negative way to start. He actually came back this year and did wonderful in many track meets throughout the year. And I know he broke 3 of the school's records, but I'm going to say he broke 2 right off the bat. He qualified in the regional meet, and with that became a state qualifier by finishing in the top 2. Actually, not doing very well against somebody that he was about to meet in Austin, Texas. At the regional meet, once he qualified, he competed at the state meet in Austin, Friday the 13th last week. And He showed up with a chip on his shoulder, and he did well enough as he ran a 47.05 to become the 5A state champion in the 400-meter dash. It is the district's first state championship since 2007. As mentioned before, he also broke 3 school records, his own. So Cameron, your name will forever have the term state champion in front of it. We're very proud of you, and no one will be able to take that away from you. So I say thank you for always giving us your best.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to present to you Cameron Chen.
I saw him on TV.
Okay, I'm just going to have you stay up there because we have another special guest. And by the way, Cameron will be attending Lamar University next year on a track scholarship. We also have the person that has a lot of responsibility with Cameron, and that is the head coach at Rossett Sterling Track, Coach McDowell. Coach McDowell has been the head coach for 8 years. So I am going to say to this, because I can't say enough about what he has done this year. Coach McDowell, it is the coach's dream to be a part of a state championship. And my man, you have lived it. And that is something that nobody can take away from you. Thank you for giving us the best that you have, and thank you for putting Rossett Sterling in the record books. We are definitely proud of you, and we are here to honor you tonight to say thank you for everything you've done for us. So ladies and gentlemen, I give you Coach McDowell.
All right.
All of you.
Yeah, just put on the ground.
You all help. Come on. It takes a
Coach can
village.
wear a hat inside.
Okay, at this time, I would like to ask our Director of College and Career Readiness, Kim Fox, to come up, and we will join her in recognizing the College Board National Recognition Program.
Good evening. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I'm from Fox, and with me I have Anna Espinoza, who's the coordinator of College and Career Readiness. And tonight we're here to recognize more of our great scholars in Goose Creek. I think our top 10 reception was outstanding, and now we're going to continue with more recognitions of our kiddos. So the following students have been selected as College National Program awardees. These students earn the recognition because of their academic achievements in school and outstanding performance on the PSAT and/or AP exams. They've accomplished these milestones during an immensely demanding period of their high school year. The following students have been awarded this recognition. Some are here tonight and some were unable to make it. We want to recognize everyone on the list. So from Lee High School, we have 6 recipients. One is Diana Moncada for National Hispanic Recognition. We have Emmanuel Garcia, also National Hispanic Recognition. We have Fabiola Gonzalez, National Hispanic Recognition. When I call your name, come up to the front. Miss Carrie is waving it up. Great. Next we have Jennifer Seja for National Hispanic Recognition. Then we have Lindsay Fox for National Hispanic Recognition. Next from Lee High School, we have Ruby Guzman, also for National Hispanic Recognition. I fear that we've lost some of them to the food down the hall. Next from Sterling High School, we have Dalia Cifuentes for National Hispanic Recognition. Next we have Jasmine Perez, also for National Hispanic Recognition. Melanie Espinoza for National Hispanic Recognition. Next we have Riley Riminick for National African American Recognition. Next from Goose Creek Memorial, we have 5 recipients. Anushka Ranjan for National Rural and Small Town Recognition. Also from Goose Creek Memorial, we have Irene Martinez for National Hispanic Recognition. Next, we have Jacob Gonzalez for National Hispanic Recognition. Jason Salinas, National Hispanic Recognition. And last from Goose Creek Memorial, we have Perlia Andrews for National African American Recognition. We have two recipients from Impact Early College High School, Adam Kinder for National Hispanic Recognition. Adam was here, I bet you he's eating. Next, we have Madeline Broussard for National Rural and Small Town Recognition. And that concludes our National Scholars. Students, we are so proud of you and thank you for being here with us tonight.
At this time, I would like to ask our Director of Fine Arts, Ray Levan, to come up as we recognize our State Visual Arts Scholastic Event Base.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. O'Brien, Mr. Clem. It is my pleasure to introduce the following Goose Creek CISD students who have been recognized at the State Visual Arts Scholastic event. These students were recognized out of, and I'm going to say this number slow, 31,000 regional entries from around the state of Texas. 31,000. So great job, students. The first name we're going to read, unfortunately, she could not be here today, but we're going to recognize her anyway, is Anaya Cosme Torres from Ross S. Sterling. She's in 10th grade, Division 2, and she received a score of 3. By the way, a 4 is the highest score that you can achieve, so let's recognize her. Next, also from Ross S. Sterling High School, Miss Alondra Nunez. She's in the 12th grade. She received a Division 1 and score of 3, and she was so nice she had to do it twice. She had 2 qualifying pieces of art where she received a Division 1 and a score of 4. And her teacher was Miss Darcy McDonald. How about a hand for Miss McDonald? Next, also from Ross S. Sterling, we have Miss Kimberly Cavazos. She was in the 11th grade, Division 4, and she received a score of 3. Next, we have Miss, or not. We good?
We good.
Okay. Next, we have Miss Caitlin Davis. She's in 12th grade from Ross S. Sterling High School, Division 4, and a score of 3. Both of the young ladies we just called, their teacher was the photographer, Miss Annie Watson. All right, moving on to Goose Creek Memorial High School. We have Miss Mia Moore. She's in the 12th grade, Division 4, and she received a score of 3. Her teacher is Miss Jonna Morris. Next we have Mr. Gennaro Silva in the 9th grade. 9th grade. Another one so nice we had to do it twice. In the 9th grade, Division 1 score of 3. Great job. I want you all to see how particular art teachers are at this particular moment. And last but certainly not least, we have another young lady that could not be here, Ms. Charlita Canagaider. She is from GCM as well, in the 11th grade, Division 2, and score of 4. So let's recognize her this evening. And her teacher is Ms. Brandy Aguilar, and congratulations again to these wonderful art students. You've done us very, very proud.
Just a minute here.
I know you're gonna make her come up. So you want us up there?
Just come in. Yes, sir.
These people help.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations, students.
Great job. Thank you, teachers.
You have to stay opening exercises are complete.
Okay. Opening exercises are done, and I'm going to turn it over to you for that one.
Thank you, Mrs. Jackson. Now we will come to the time of citizens' participation. If you are one of our folks signed up to speak tonight, if you would make your way over to my left, your right, while I read my required announcements, which is citizens' participation is the time that the board will hold public concerns or public comments from those who have properly signed up to address the board. At regular board meetings, the board shall permit public comment regardless of whether the topic is an agenda item or not. At all other board meetings, public comment shall be limited to open session items on the agenda. Each speaker is reminded that he or she is limited in his or her presentation to a maximum of 3 minutes, and that he or she should respect confidentiality concerns and refrain from attacking the personal character of any individual student, staff member, or board member in addressing concerns or comments. Pursuant to state law and board policy BE legal, the board cannot consider or take action on concerns at this meeting unless they pertain to an item on the posted agenda for this meeting. Any deliberation or decision on an item that is not posted for consideration at this meeting shall be limited to a proposal to place the subject on the agenda of a future meeting. Our first public speaker tonight is I believe it's Gardner Boris, and if I mispronounce that, I apologize. Gardner, B-O-R-I-S.
Bopus. Garner Bopus.
Last call. Boris. Okay, he seems to not be here. We'll move on to Miss Tiffany Jack. Tiffany, pay attention.
While she's making her way up, I would like Mr. Clem just to note the topic to proclaim September Deaf Awareness Month was what Mr. Boris was hoping to speak on, so we'll make that a part of our public record.
We will, and we'll keep that in mind. All right, and Ms. Jack, our board secretary, Mr. Sampson, will time you, and he'll tell you when you have 1 minute left.
Okay. Okay, I would like to encourage you all to make the decision on naming the Inside Girls Gym at Ross S. Sterling High School after a truly inspiring, passionate, and dedicated coach and friend that we unfortunately lost this year, Coach Horn. She started coaching at Sterling in 1986 and became the head coach in 1991. Of the 25 years that she was head coach, Nadine Horn's varsity girls went to the playoffs 23 of those years and went to area 7 times. She had her best season ever in 2003 when we made it to the regional quarterfinals. To this day, this is the furthest that a team for Sterling has been. Besides being an amazing coach, she was very passionate about all her athletes as students and individuals. Starting in 1993, Coach Horn Sterling's volleyball girls were awarded with the AVCA Award for Outstanding Academic Performance. From that year on, the student athletes helped her to achieve this award consecutively for the remainder of her career, which was 23 more years. Coach Horn has truly impacted many student athletes over the years and inspired them to always push to be their best on and off the court. She was somewhat of an urban legend in how each year new athletes or returning athletes had somewhat of a fear and respect for her. Her seriousness and rumor of towel punishments kept everyone on edge, yet pushed us to want to do better. During games, she always sat at the end of the bench, lined up with the in-line, observing and taking notes, and only when we truly needed it did she step in and get us back on track. We could always tell that she genuinely trusted us, as much as we did her. She wasn't a yeller, however, her looks alone spoke volumes. She always had the best advice and took full advantage of the time that she had with her athletes to truly connect and help mold them into confident, hardworking, dedicated student athletes, which in turn pushed them to all become better all-around individuals. Many former athletes have reached out to me about Coach Horn since her passing, and I have received nothing but an outpouring of love and respect for her. Not only did she care about you when you were her athlete, but also when you were no longer playing for her. She continued to mentor, communicate with former athletes, and reached out even they got married, they had babies, graduated college, and even in tragedy. In 2001,
In 2001, we tragically lost an amazing athlete, teammate, and human being. Coach Horn took it upon herself to retire her teammate's jersey, as well as frame it and put it in the gym for all to see. When Coach Horn retired in 2016, she gifted the framed jersey with a plaque and a picture attached to the back to the parents for them to have as keepsake.
Coach Nadine Horn left a true legacy at Sterling within school sports and the community. All coaches should pursue an impactful purpose on student athletes just as she once did. On the behalf of any and everyone that came in contact with Nadine Horn, including the athletic department and myself, we're asking Goose Creek to honor Coach Horn's name as a legacy and impact that they had on so many students by renaming the gym, the Nadine Horn Gymnasium.
Thank you, Ms. Jack.
Were you completed all the way?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for checking. Our next speaker is Greg Smith. Kind of like a family reunion, isn't it?
There ain't no question. Well, good evening. Dr. O'Brien, President Clint, members of the board. First of all, I just want to start by thanking Coach Jack for doing that. I know she was a little nervous about doing that tonight, and that's near and dear to her heart, as it is a lot of us. You know, I had the honor of working with Coach Horn for 4 years over at Sterling, and it was truly a big loss to the community and to all the players and student athletes that she reached. So, you know, Coach Jack, thank you very much. That was very much appreciated. But I'm here tonight to talk about Coach Al Dennis. When we were asked in the athletic department to start kind of looking into Coach Dennis, I'll be real honest, somebody that worked at Sterling for so long, I had heard the name many, many times, but didn't really do any research on him because I was never asked to. And upon doing that research, it's very, very obvious and apparent that he deserves the honor and recognition of the Sterling football field being named in his honor. In our research, he began his career at Jones High School in CISD, but quickly came back to Baytown, where he was a 1960 graduate of Robert Lee High School. He was named the head football coach at Sterling in 1972. I can't even imagine the season in your first year as a head coach that he had, taking a program all the way to the state championship. I mean, you saw how excited we are tonight over an individual, and he took a football program all the way there in his very first shot. And I'm not sure how familiar we are back then. There wasn't 1 through 4 seeds. It was the 1 seed only going in. So you're not matching up with a 4 seed. You're matching up with nothing but the big dogs in the entire state of Texas. He took them all the way to the championship, where ultimately, unfortunately, they lost to Powerhouse Odessa Permian. But I mean, that's just a testament to his character and how well he did as a coach in his first year at Sterling High School. Second year, 1973, he killed it again. He once again won a district championship, went 3 rounds deep to the regional quarterfinals. And then over a span of 11 years, at Sterling High School. He compiled 5 district championships, and with a winning record of 84 wins, 94 losses, and 6 ties. So to this day, that is the only program from Sterling High School that's made it to the state championship. I think he is truly deserving of that honor as a member of the community and somebody who has Goose Creek athletics running through my blood. I think it's a big thing to showcase those accomplishments and see if we can get the Sterling High School football field named after Coach Al Dennis. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Smith.
Yes, sir.
Our next speaker is Scott Goodman.
I'm here also in support of Al Dennis. Might be a little ditto in what you just heard, but I'm going to go ahead anyway. Before I do this, I'd like to recognize somebody that's here today. They didn't have this when we were in school. But this man is 50 years overdue. He won the state championship in the discus in 1973. Steve, will you stand up? Okay, Al Dennis started coaching at the age of 22. He coached 2 years at Jesse Jones High School in Houston. In 1967, was hired by Goose Creek District as assistant football coach for Baytown Sterling. In 1972, Al Dennis, at the age of 29, became the youngest football head coach in the state of Texas, becoming the head coach of Baytown Sterling. Al's first year finished the season with a 13-2 record. The season ended with a loss to Odessa Permian for the state championship at Memorial Stadium in Austin, Texas. Al coached for 18 years. 16 of those years was at Sterling, 5 years as assistant, 11 years as head coach. He compiled a record of 84, 34, and 6. In those 11 years, he had 6, they made the playoffs for 6 years out of those 11 years. He had 4 district state championships and 2 co-district championships. So after Coach Al, after his coaching, was director of the food services for 2 years, principal of Horace Mann Junior High for 4 years, principal of Barbers Hill High School for 2 years, and was superintendent at Barbers Hill for 7 years. Al Dennis was more than a coach. He was a husband, he was a father, and he was a friend. He was someone you could talk to and he listened to you. And when Big Al spoke, everybody listened. He believed in him, we believed in him, and he had a way of making you believe in yourself. He was a mentor to a lot of young men. It was an honor to get to play for Al Dennis, and I thank Al. I thank God for that time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Just a quick word to those of you who spoke tonight. If you've seen tonight's agenda, we will be considering both of those topics after 2 reports and 1 short piece of business. That will move us to the short piece of business, approval of the May 2nd, 2022 budget workshop and regular board meeting minutes. I would seek a motion.
I move for approval.
I have a motion for Ms. Woods and a second for Ms. Guy to approve the May 2nd minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. I see 5 for, 2 absent, so the motion is approved. Discussion items, Dr. O'Brien.
Yes, this evening, for the board's pleasure, we have Superintendent's Report A1, which is the 22-23 budget update, presented by Ms. Clark this evening.
Thank you. Good evening, President Clem, Dr. O'Brien, and trustees. I hate to follow up all of this exciting, fun stuff with budget, but here we are, and we won't have a lengthy report. It's not in the budget workshop format, so we're intending to zoom in on compensation so we can have a final proposal for you all on June 6th. So on June 6th, you all will actually approve the compensation plan for 22-23's budget year. So with that, I will jump right in, and we'll talk about a couple of things that I just want to make sure you all are aware of as we proceed with the budget. Some things that are on the horizon. We'll look at the scenarios in the budget summary and calendar and next steps. These are slides that we've gone over in previous presentations, just the objectives, and they have not changed, and the assumptions, and they have not changed. So the first thing I want you all to be aware of is when House Bill 3 came into existence in 2019, there was a provision included in that was intended to hold districts harmless for all of the changes that they were putting in place, mainly the property values that they changed to current year versus previous year. So what they did is in order to hold districts harmless, old law versus new law, they did the comparison, and those who would have been harmed financially were given what is considered a formula transition grant. So that formula transition grant is set to expire in the 23-24 school year. So when we prepare for next year's budget at this time, it will still be in play unless they change it in the legislative session, which begins in January of 2023. So what we have that we're projecting, and this is just an early projection, is that, and it's gone from $3.5 million last year and then $10 million this year, so it does, with all of COVID and everything coming into play as well. We just need to be mindful that that is on the horizon, and if the legislation does not change, we will have to contend with that in our 24-25 budget year. So just want you all to be aware of that. Did anyone have any questions on that? I know it's down the road, but I just wanted you all to be aware that that was lurking there. Okay, and now we want to give you an update on medical insurance, and with that, I'll turn it over to Ms. Myers.
Good evening. So we've had a few changes to the medical insurance for the next school year. On May 10th, we received an official notification that our agreement with Methodist Hospital, they rejected our final offer for the TSHPP that provided 195% of Medicare rates for all contracted services. At this time, Methodist has not submitted any official notification to TSHPP to terminate services, but it has been put out notification across Methodist Hospital and verbal communication to our employees that as of this past Sunday, May 15th, they would no longer be able to receive services, our employees, at Methodist Hospital through our doctors or through hospital services. So typically the termination notice period is a 90-day window before the services end. We do have TSHPP along with their legal teams actually contacting Methodist Hospital in order to honor that 90-day agreement. We have put out notification also to Methodist Hospital requesting an extension for anybody who's currently on that plan so they can continue to receive services. Currently right now we have 989 employees on the TSHPP plan that possibly will not have access to Methodist Hospital as of Sunday. We have received several emails and phone calls from our employees who are having services that have been canceled due to this agreement. And if an extension is not granted, we will provide services for our employees with comparable service options through Memorial Hermann and other facilities for our employees until we get to the end of the plan year. We also have put together a communication piece that will go out to all employees on their options for annual enrollment, as we are in annual enrollment at this time. Annual enrollment will end on May 27th, but any employees that are currently receiving treatment through Methodist Hospital will have the option to enroll in the Aetna program that will provide level services through Methodist Hospital. And I think in our previous conversation that we had with the board, the budget process. We had talked about the TRS rates along with the new plan for Aetna, and those rates will be changing. I have not released that information because we're still waiting for TRS to actually release their plan design, because we have to make sure the plan design along with the rates are comparable to the new option.
Did anyone have any questions on that update for medical?
Just the point, I think, of question for some is when will employees be notified? And I think you answered it primarily there, as soon as you receive formal notification.
Yes, I actually do have a draft that's ready to go, that we can at least send the information out on what we have received verbally, so at least employees have the option to go ahead and make a decision now for annual enrollment. And that should go out tomorrow. And we're also going to do a call to all employees so that they're aware of those who don't have access to their email will also get the notification.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Meyer. So with that, we will move on. Again, this is a repetitive slide, but I just wanted to include it again, just so everyone's aware. You know, as we move into 23-24 budget process, we're going to have to address the deficit. Want to make sure we highlight that. This is a repetitive slide as well. We're going with the 2%, which would raise our starting salary for teachers to $61,250, and it would result in an approximate increase per teacher in the general pay increase of $1,500. Now we're going to start looking at some of the stipend scenarios, and I appreciate all the feedback that I got from everyone, including the board members and cabinet and superintendent. The first one, first of all of these are one-time only, so everything on this particular slide is one-time only and would not be continued into the next budget year. That is, meant to not contribute to the deficit moving forward, so these would go away after 1 year. And the stipend scenario number one, and all of these, by the way, include the 2% general pay increase. But that's on a separate slide, but and you'll see in the next slide, all of them have the 2%. We don't have the 1.5. But on the stipend scenario specifically, we had scenario one that had a $500 retention stipend for all employees to defray inflation costs that have now exceeded 8%. And then we had teachers, librarians, and nurses and manual trades retention stipend of $1,000 if they commit to 2023 school year. This is now going to be May the 26th as a result of some emails that went out today, so that will have to be adjusted to May 26th and paid in October 2022 as far as how we have it listed here. One of the suggestions I received from a cabinet member was to, and I agree with it, is to include the clerical and paraprofessionals in the $1,000 retention stipend. And so that would cost approximately $730,000 to do that. Again, it would be the one time to add that classification of employees to that. So if you all are open to that, we can certainly make that adjustment for next time. Scenario two, similarly, we have $600, again, potentially a Christmas retention stipend, and then the manual trades and teachers, librarians, and nurses receiving a $500 stipend for committing by May the 26th, and then also giving them one additional personal wellness day, which would be about $594,000 if, about 80% of them, actually for all teachers, nurses and librarians, it would be for 1 day, the cost would be $594,000. And then similarly, again, on scenario three, it would have the $500 stipend, retention stipend for those same classes of employees, $500 for those who commit in those same teachers, librarians, and nurses and manual trade categories, and then two additional personal wellness days would cost about $1.18 million for teachers, nurses, and librarians. So these are the stipend options that we wanted to present to you all and see if you have any input as to how you would like this to look. Because next time is the actual, we're actually approving with a board action for the compensation plan, which includes all the stipends and the general pay increases. So did you have input on how you would?
Just as a point of clarification, our employees currently, our teachers currently get 5 state days and 5 local days.
Yes, sir.
The 1 or 2 additional day would fall into the local category, is that correct?
It certainly, yeah, it would be local, yeah, because it would be us giving it to them, yes.
And it would clearly be one time.
It would be one time, yes. All those on this page are one time only, yes, sir.
Ms. Woods?
I have a question.
You're on the wrong side.
I guess I'm just wondering on the additional day, local day, could we include the administrative and professional group on that part, because they're not getting the retention bonus? Typically, well, sometimes there's a need for a sub in that area, but not necessarily always, right?
Yeah, the clerical professional,
Or the administration.
administration. Yeah, usually those are not subbed. I mean, unless there's a need,
But they
there might be
get
someone
the
that
same
campus.
5 and 5, right? They get the same 5 and 5, local and state?
Yes.
Yes,
So since we're not giving them the retention bonus.
Right, but you could give them the additional 1 or 2 days, and it wouldn't add to the cost for us technically, because we wouldn't be hiring a sub to replace them.
right. I mean, you're still compensating them for, for the loss,
While not including them in let's commit to 2023, yeah. We're not asking them to do that, to get that stipend. So you could add the days for them without much of a additional drop in the bucket.
Right.
I wanted to ask a question about the Christmas retention stipend, the line 1 on all 3 scenarios.
May I take that?
Sure.
I think this was my idea.
Okay.
My thought process, especially on scenario 1, is that the total stipend is going to be $1,500 in that scenario, but we should give 1/3 of it at Christmas, and then the other $1,000 to be a retention bonus if they agree to stay by whatever the date is we agree on here. And the reason for that is we historically, as a board, always offer folks $500 to tell us early if they're going to leave.
Right,
So
so
if we did 5 and 5, there's no reason to stay. I'm going to get $500 whether I stay or go.
Right,
So
so
I
we
wanted to
have
compare it
the retention, which would be given to them in October if
of
they
the following
sign,
year.
of 23.
Okay, I have to, excuse me. I can't. We're not at home. Okay. This stipend is going to be given in December, and we can call it whatever we want to. Right now, we're calling it inflation. This is the retention bonus, but it's going to be paid after you're already working here next year.
Right.
And I think that number,
But see,
So that's
that's
in 10 of
2022, yeah.
no, 10 of 22.
22.
Yeah.
So in 10 of 22, they get the $1,000 retention, and then in 12 of 22, 2 months later.
We'll be arguing about this again.
No, in 12 of 22 is when they get the 500 for Christmas.
Then there's something wrong with this.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, this isn't it.
We,
Okay, are we working on?
$1,000 is to be paid in May,
Okay.
once they sign their contract to
We're paying
return in
people-
That's
23.
not what it says here on the slide.
We're building this in to retain teachers right now.
right.
Okay, that was not my intention.
Oh,
I did
okay.
not make that clear.
Okay, so you want to,
We're all on the same page again.
So should it say 10 of 23?
Building, I was trying to build the budget. See, people have already resigned or not for this year, so that's a moot point as far as I'm concerned. So I wanted to move this forward, not backwards.
Okay,
So my intention when we discussed this was to do $500 December of '22, and if you're still signed on in May of '23, we're gonna give you another $1,000 when you start the '23 school year.
Once you sign your
Right,
contract.
start building in a true retention bonus.
okay,
Because
yeah,
right now, people have already gone.
right,
Or, they've made their decision for next year.
So that's just, should say 23.
absolutely, we
So
can,
it would read correctly otherwise.
Must commit to the 23-24 school year by let's say 5/31/23.
oh, I see what you're saying, okay.
Because in my personal spreadsheet, which I never shared with you and I should have, I had budgets going into '24.
Okay, gotcha. I can absolutely adjust that and put,
So
Yeah.
maybe we can send that out as this slide to everybody before the next meeting and get some feedback from everyone.
absolutely, sure will.
But then, so if I could summarize, maybe we're looking at, and everybody jump in or jump off, scenario 1 plus the day, pretty much for everyone.
Yeah.
Yes?
So that's,
The new scenario 1 with the correct dates,
mhm,
which will actually affect 2 budget years,
mhm.
plus the 1 day.
So it's really scenario 3 or 2 with the retention stipend
It's
of
really,
1,000 instead of 500.
well, if you would, that's the girl way of looking. We have this special relationship. You should hear the things she says to me. Okay, so here's
To change the slide.
Yeah,
the current board scenario, and everybody is the Christmas amount for '23 is $500.
22.
For Christmas of '22, thank you. Christmas of '22 is $500. There will be a 1,000 PLN retention for '23-24 if you agree to stay by May of '23. And everybody on that chart is going to get one more sick day, whatever we call it. Local day.
so we want to do 1 local or 2?
Well, 1 is in scenario 2, 2 is in scenario
I
3.
think one is good.
Oh, yeah, flip slides down.
What?
But I guess my question with the May date is that they can resign through this, like, sometime in July, right?
Mr. Chapa, is the 40, what's the date that once they've signed their contract, we can hold it to?
45 days.
Before the first day of instruction?
For the first day of instruction,
It's usually around July 4th weekend.
it's usually around the first part of July, the last part of June, depending on when we finish the year, or we start the year.
Well, let's start in July.
Do I hear you're around school?
So I think this guy's point was we can hold the retention until they return?
But if we're not paying till October, they won't be here.
Right.
I mean, right? If that's their carrot to stay, but if they still leave,
So we don't want to do it for this.
well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's kind of made up their mind. I mean, I know it's not the deadline date, but we've already been through the cycle of resign before spring break, and we'll give you the incentive to do that.
But some of them might still be deciding.
I agree with that, but I don't think it's going to be as big a carrot as if we push it to the
Well, I
future.
think we pay everybody 1,000 who's staying, and the ones who left for 500 can just.
Well, that's what a lot of districts are doing because they're trying to get those employees to commit to next
So,
year.
what about somebody that says, I changed my mind? I want the $1,000.
That's gonna happen.
Can we revoke their resignation? Do we have to vote on that, or do they have to reapply and start over as a first-year teacher?
Typically, we ask the principal, and they say, yes, I was sorry to see this person leave. If y'all can revoke that person's resignation, please do so, and then we do it.
Okay.
But we rely on the principal's recommendation.
And I'm okay with that. They know them better than most of us.
Now, they can't rescind their resignation and then get the 1,000 and then resign again. I mean, that, so we don't want to do that.
Yeah, that's what she
They have
said.
to show back up.
Okay, so we're back to those dates
Yeah.
with one extra day, scenario one.
That's what I want.
I think we should, and I don't think it's a bad thing to
Okay.
give them 1,000 in October and 500 right before
And then we can
Christmas.
have that, maybe we can have
Except
this
that you have to
discussion.
budget for that.
Right.
If
It's not
we-
happy for us to say that you need to do that.
I guess I'm a little confused on, because if you're saying they're going to give us the notice next May, what's the difference?
No, we
But-
have to change that to current employees who return next year are gonna get $1,000 in October.
Of 2022?
Less
Well,
less about who says something in May than it is who shows up in August.
Right.
But we had also talked about asking for more than just a commitment for next year in order to do a retention stipend. And we had originally discussed that perhaps we should ask for them to give us a commitment for 2 years and then pay them the $1,000 in October, or later in the year, and then an additional amount off of that, because we originally were talking about maybe 1,500, that if they would commit to us for the next couple of years, knowing that they're going to receive that so long as they continue to stay here, in addition to whatever we add on for cost of living,
Right.
et cetera.
We,
We get into the evaluation instrument and things of that nature, though, once we extend beyond.
Mr. Chapa has a
Mr.
question?
Chapa?
Yes, I was gonna say, if we're gonna give them the retention stipend in October, why can't we give it to them in August, when we're starting the school and they've already committed to stay here for the year with us?
Because we want them to show up
Yeah.
and stay for a month before we get
So September 1st.
we could even break it in two because, I mean,
Right, and it doesn't matter to me if it's August or October or what have you, I was just trying to make sense of the numbers here, but I think that we originally were talking about asking them to commit
right.
for the 22-23 and 23-24 when we were offering an opportunity for a retention stipend.
It was an option, but,
I know that we were looking at those
yeah,
possibilities.
I mean, we can add it back, but,
But you have to make the numbers work.
yeah. So the issue is, though, is we're trying to reward those individuals who are, being loyal and coming back to Goose Creek, because they always, I mean, not always, but there has been some chatter that, hey, we've been here, you always give the incentives to the new
Money for
people.
them to leave, or we
Right.
get a bonus for new
And
teachers.
so, in an effort to reward those people who were, dedicated to Goose Creek, that was why we were doing that, because they, that seems to get kind of left off.
Absolutely, and that's, I think, what we are all thinking. I'm not speaking for the rest of the board, that's Mr. Quinn's job. But I know that's what,
Please carry on.
but I know that was kind of the gist of what we were hoping to do, is more importantly, reward those who are coming back, who are dedicated, who are loyal, who get
Exactly.
overlooked when it's, sign-on bonus
Right.
time, or.
And we intend to notify all those employees who left that they didn't get it.
Yeah, that they left for 500, they could have stayed 5,000 or more.
Started manning it.
So we have to approve this next time, so, we want to have the 2 days for everyone, or 2 days for, because the ones that are not campus personnel, those individuals get vacation days,
Right.
so they, have a little more discretion with, they don't get as much time off, but they also have more discretion to use their vacation days or what have you, how they wish. But it's the teachers, nurses, and librarians that, are really, feeling the pressure of,
Recommendations, I brought that up, I wanted to say,
yes, you
can I make that recommendation if we're looking at it for the teachers, librarians, and nurses for the 2, and then have administrative staff if you're still there for 1. You know, if she's saying that is something, they have more flexibility. But I still would like to see the 2 days.
Okay.
For the teachers,
Yes.
librarians, and nurses.
I just feel like that, you know, the campus administrators and counselors and
Oh, yeah.
other people on the campus that aren't getting a retention bonus, so
Right.
can we give them the extra
Oh,
day?
okay. Yeah, that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, that makes sense. Mhm.
It does.
Yeah, we want to be able
So,
to,
I'm willing, I was
Reward
already
them
at 2
to
days.
also.
right. Anybody on the campus, I mean, anybody on the campus, you know,
Right.
is certainly who we're trying
And
to.
so many other, the reason why that is important, because I looked at other districts and made some calls, and that was some of the things that they were doing, and it was working.
Mhm. Yeah, because they want, you know.
Right, to
more
keep
time.
their good,
Yeah.
keep your good folks.
Yeah, so.
We've also considered a blood oath.
No, you stop. Who can summarize what we're agreeing on?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said who could summon that?
Some of us. This guy?
So did we say, I think we said scenario 1, that including everyone in the extra day or 2 days, whatever y'all.
I'm okay with
good
2.
either one.
For 2 days, everybody.
2, everybody say 2?
So we'll bring, what we'll do is to simplify this, Ms. Clark will bring 2 scenarios.
Okay.
One with 1 and one with 2.
You've
And
got
then
to learn
we'll
to
vote
give us
that
no
night.
choices.
And there has to be 7 board members here. Not numbered.
So 2 for everyone, is that, okay, 2 additional days of personal wellness for everyone.
That'll be scenario 1.
That'll be scenario 1, and then there's going to be another scenario?
It will be exactly the same, but with 1 day
Just with 1 day,
for everybody.
Okay.
because we're not good enough to multiply that figure by 2. You have no idea.
So we're still going to have 2 scenarios next time? Because you are going to have to adopt.
Yes,
Since there's not board members here, we want to
Yeah,
have
okay.
No,
So,
sorry.
so 1 and 2
One,
in the 2 scenarios.
scenario 1 with 2 days,
Mm-hmm.
and then scenario 1 with just 1 day.
Okay.
And
There will be a
we're
cost variable that the board will consider at that time.
correct.
And would you like to add clerical professional to the $1,000 stipend category?
The retention stipend?
The retention stipend right now is DLN and manual trades.
Mm-hmm. And
Correct.
and she was asking about the
Clerical.
We've got approximately 735, so that's another
$700,000, $4,000, yes, to add them in there.
Yeah.
One time, I mean, it's a
One
one
time.
time, but, so it doesn't give me as much.
That would make scenario 1 go to 4,785 about,
Correct.
plus the days.
Plus the days, which, you know, those aren't necessarily dollar for dollar cash,
I
but
say do
4,785 plus the
it, plus
590.
Plus the
The
board.
1188,
plus the
sorry.
last 1.
Yeah, but the days are not-
1.1,
No,
1.2.
no.
Well, they are.
But it,
For the teachers.
Librarians and nurses, any position
So
that
for the
requires
other
stuff.
folks.
And so the cost is the 1,188,000.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
That's the 2
The
days.
2 days, okay.
so,
Okay.
good.
Are we clear?
We're back? I think so.
Do we all think we're clear?
Yes.
And what do we say about clerical and paraprofessional on the retention? Yes or no?
I think they're pretty important.
I do too.
I do too. I think we need to have them.
I see them
I think
chasing.
y'all are very important if you're out
Yes.
there.
chasing runners
Yes, very much.
every day.
Yeah, I think our teachers need them as much as our
Our
students do.
special ed department out here is loving them.
I think all of them,
By
yes.
the way, we also, through our HR department, have a Grow Your Own grant for our paraprofessionals in which several graduated from college this past weekend.
Yes, they did.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes, they did. These are our future teachers right here.
So I think I've got it.
You got it?
I think I got
Do you have anything else, Ms. Clark?
If not, call Kevin.
Our president.
And so go to the calendar, please, so we can be clear. So I can be clear.
it. One more slide.
Yes, ma'am.
This factors in these stipends, and these are one time only, and this is the big picture. So, how does this all look when you're talking about the bottom line? So again, all three scenarios have the 2% general pay increase. Now look here at the second green horizontal line. I had to add here, this would be permanent. And so it was not going to be included on the stipend slide. This is for increasing the contribution for insurance for the 23-24 school year. 22-23 school year. So that I took a $70 average, which is the average increase, and multiplied by 12 months times 2,051 participants who currently use our insurance, and that's about $840 per participant. And I multiplied that by the 205. That 1.7 is the total for all the employees that are currently participating at about $840 each. So you see that does add to the structural deficit. You wouldn't want to give it and then take it away again. I mean, this doesn't lend itself for one-time only type scenarios. So just know that if you wanted to add that as well, that would be another $1.7 million, and they wouldn't have as much autonomy over their dollars because it would have to be specific to insurance. So, and it does add to the structural deficit. So given the fact that we're already adding another $730,000 to the one-time stipends, it's going to start adding up. So,
that beefs up our benefits package by $70 per person for recruiting purposes.
Or
Right.
$840 a year.
Yeah.
And does that $70 increase maintain the employees' level where they are right now? I mean, is that going to cover the whole increase?
It's just an average. It's not, some, it will for some it will not.
The people on the least expensive insurance are actually going to see a premium decrease by $3. The people on the most expensive premiums, like employee plus 6 family members, they're going to have an increase, but it's going to be $70 less than it would be if we don't do that. So, you know, if we hit the most expensive ones, we'd only be hitting, less than 5% of our employees on that most expensive one? It was a small number.
Yeah, it's not a lot, but yeah.
But we would be hitting just a few people, and everybody else would be getting premium reductions, which would be nice, but I don't think we can afford that over the long run.
No, and especially since this is perpetual.
Yes,
Right.
correct. So we eat in.
I don't expect health insurance to go down anytime soon.
Right.
So we need to catch up with that. Personally, I'm for that.
Scenario 3.
Well, for the $70 increase
Yeah.
contribution to the insurance.
Right. Well, I
So,
know
yeah.
that's what we, because that was my concern, is that
Scenario
the
3
2%
plus
GPI
260.
is not going to do a whole lot for inflation.
Scenario
And
3
insurance
plus
increases.
2 days, right?
I'm sorry.
We're on scenario 3 plus
Correct.
2 days plus clerical
Yes.
and paras.
Yes.
Meaning, we've just about exhausted our ESSER funds.
Because we're adding another 700,000 plus to that for paras, clerical.
So we'll be down to $3 million for the remaining year's budget, just for estimation.
In ESSER funds, yeah.
Yeah. So, but what I want to impress upon you all is that the $23 million deficit is real, and that will have to be dealt with whenever we begin preparing for our budget for next year. So that, yes, your funds will be exhausted and there will be no offset. Because right now we have these, transfer expenses to ESSER for offset purposes. We will no longer have that.
So outside of something exceptional happening with our legislators, one of 2 scenarios. One would be attrition, a reduction in employment through attrition. The other would be an increase in student population that would significantly cover the need for those employees.
Absolutely, or some positive legislation, but I don't hold a lot of hope for that right
When
now.
vouchers pass,
Don't hold your breath.
I'm waiting.
there's another drain on the
Yes,
funds.
yes.
So, with would it be fair to say if we adopt scenario 3 with 2 days plus paras and clerical, that we would have to begin that glide method immediately?
Immediately, yes.
A lot to think about.
It is. So, I just,
Thank you, Ms. Clark.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
just calendar?
Calendar, please,
Yeah.
yeah.
Calendar,
Just to be clear, we're adopting compensation next meeting,
that's correct,
and then the budget itself will be a public hearing when?
on the 20th.
So also in June?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Mhm.
That makes it etched in stone.
Yes.
The public hearing, oh, in June.
Yeah, we have to do a public hearing
Yeah, yeah,
before we
yeah.
adopt.
I was looking at May,
Yeah, no, June.
June.
Home stretch, 2 more, and we're done. So I'll put that slide together and run it past you, make sure we've included everything that you all have proposed.
We'll get those scenarios to you in a weekly update prior to the board meeting.
Yeah, so we can change our mind if it looks too scary.
I'll prepare that for you tomorrow.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just want the September 19th tax rate adoption.
That doesn't necessarily, it's not necessarily set in stone yet, but
But
is
it
there?
says tax rates for 2021.
Oh, typo, sorry about that, yes.
That's okay.
Should be
I'm just trying to make
2022.
sure y'all are not going to confuse me because.
Certification.
2022.
2022,
Yes,
okay.
sir. Yes, ma'am.
And that's not till September 19th?
Yes. Yeah. We adopt those after we get certified values, and September is usually about the time we get everything prepared for that. So, anything
Ms.
else?
Clark.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Ms. Myers, thank you too.
Next up, we have discussion items. School Health Advisory Council, SHAC, annual report by Ms. Amanda Kennington and Dr. Matt Bollinger.
Okay, good evening, Dr. O'Brien, President Clem, members of the school board. I want to say that so far this meeting's been outstanding, recognizing the top 10, seeing all the accomplishments of our students, also our athletic program with state champions and our advanced academics and fine arts state winners. It makes us proud to be part of Goose Creek, so we're very excited about that. And tonight, Amanda and I will be presenting the annual report for the School Health Advisory Council. And so we want to give you some information for that. I serve as the executive liaison, and Amanda Kennington is our Healthy Community School Coordinator. She serves as our co-chair and our facilitator for SHAC. We'd like to first recognize and thank our SHAC parent co-chair, Master Chief Sane R. Edwards Jr., who's here tonight, and also other members of the committee for their service and commitment to school health. So at this time, please stand if you're on the SHAC committee. We have several SHAC members here. Thank you for your service on the committee. Basically half the crowd.
You have to make sure you do this right.
That's right.
People must.
So school districts are required to have a SHAC, and the majority of the members must be parents who are not employees of the district. Primary goal of SHAC is to make sure that the local community values are expressed and they're reflected in the district's health education instruction. And so that's the primary purpose of SHAC. Also, according to district policy, our SHAC duties include recommending policies, procedures, and strategies for curricular resources, also making sure that we're increasing parental awareness that relates to healthy education programs and instruction, and also considering strategies and techniques that will support our wellness policy and our wellness plan. Up here on this slide, we have all of our members that are from SHAC. The school board appoints our SHAC members. That happened this year in the September board meeting. It includes our 27 parents. We have 27 parents on SHAC. We have 13 campus representatives, 8 district representatives, and also 3 community members. I have to commend Amanda for building our SHAC committee. It's grown exponentially under her leadership, and so we're thankful for her for that. This time, Amanda's going to come and talk a little bit about coordinated school health
and how Shack supports that in Goose Creek.
But first, she wants us to all stand and do jumping jacks.
Yeah, we have rain break, for sure.
Only in the water.
For sure. So all Texas schools are required to implement coordinated school health programming. And in Goose Creek CISD, all K through 8 campuses have adopted and they're supporting and implementing the CATCH program as required for the coordinated school health program. The campuses are empowered to create healthy school environments following that CATCH approach to whole child wellness. The program is designed to advance academic performance by devoting energy and resources to improve students' health and well-being. The Shack is divided, as you can see on the slide, into 8 components, but we have divided those into 4 subcommittees, and then as needed, we also have ad hoc committees. The Shack addresses health issues that we might see in our school-aged children, including childhood obesity, cardiovascular disease, type 2 diabetes, and mental health concerns. The Shack understands that the schools are only a hub facility and uses the whole school, whole community, whole child, or WISC model as a framework that illustrates the many ways that the home, school, and community must interact in order to contribute to each child's success. The Goose Creek CISD Shack hosted 4 regular meetings. The Shack engages in many activities, open dialogue, and is committed to growing healthy giants. We would like to highlight about 4 of Shack's accomplishments that support the whole child health initiatives. First, the Shack approved the district textbook committee recommendations this year for health and PE instructional materials. Those resources are going to support developing curriculum to implement the newly adopted health standards that will go into effect this next school year. The Shack is also playing a role in confronting and addressing critical health topics based on areas of need. During the January meeting, presenters from Harris County Public Health's tobacco cessation team, they educated members about the dangers of e-cigarettes and the surging youth vaping epidemic. And Shack members were able to provide feedback to the district on ways to address those concerns about vaping and other resources available. Third, in an effort to support employee wellness activities, Shack members declared support by signing a pledge to actively participate in the It's Time Texas Community Challenge. The Shack encouraged school leaders to join the challenge and honored employees at a Shack meeting for being role models that united our school community in a commitment to healthier habits. Lastly, the Shack recognized campus wellness teams for their efforts to support students by engaging families and communities, connecting health and education. The campus teams are invited to Shack meetings to present the school health best practices. Recently, Bowie Elementary shared that staff, students, and families are enjoying the benefits of moving, staying healthy, valuing healthy eating, and promoting healthy habits. The Shack members have had a strong commitment to the health and well-being of students, staff, and community at large. On the screen here, you'll notice that the Shack meeting information is included on our Shack website. You'll find agendas, meeting minutes, and audio recordings as required. You'll also notice that it says a notice is posted 72 hours in advance of each Shack meeting in the central office of every campus in the district, and public comments and questions can be directed to shack@gccisd.net. Or you can feel free to contact the Shack facilitator by phone. Shack's work is ongoing. Currently, the Shack will continue to develop the Goose Creek Wellness Plan according to the wellness policy that was adopted. We'll also provide recommendations continuously for the health and PE curriculum. The Shack will also continue to provide guidance for schools for coordinated school health action plans. And the Shack will strengthen communication and awareness to the community on school health in Goose Creek CISD. So in summary, the School Health Advisory Council has 2 recommendations for the board's consideration. First, to strengthen and utilize Goose Creek CISD Shack to support implementation of school health policies and practice. And second, we have a House Bill 1525. We would like to implement the requirements that apply to the Shack under the EHAA legal policy.
We also wanted to share next steps related to Shack. And so first of all, just as Amanda said, at the next board meeting, most likely we'll bring a resolution for the board to adopt, a resolution to convene Shack to address House Bill 1525. Part of that House bill includes human sexuality, and there's several things that the district is required to do to make sure that we are transparent and the SHAC committee is aware and recommends certain resources that pertains to how we teach human sexuality. And so the first step in that process is for the board to adopt a resolution to convene SHAC to begin that process of having 2 public meetings and to bring the resources back to the board for recommendation. So that will happen at the next board meeting. Secondly, next steps, we have a very strong, robust wellness plan in Goose Creek, and we continue to strengthen that. And so SHAC will continue to work alongside other individuals to make sure that that wellness plan is intact and that it's being implemented the way that it was intended to. And then last, we are opening up applications for the 2022-23 SHAC. So that will be on our website, and we will have that application process open until the end of July. Individuals in the community, parents can apply to be on SHAC either electronically, online, or they can send an email. We have a SHAC email to request a paper copy, and then that will also be provided for those parents. And then again, in September, most likely of next year, we'll bring that committee to the board for approval. And that's our presentation. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer those at this time.
I have a quick question. If I may. As part of this group, and what I'm trying to understand, because I'm trying to figure out, one of the places that had last weekend was student physicals. Is that through your group or on another budget? Do y'all help bring those resources with those?
That is actually through athletics.
Oh,
We're in the audience as well.
Okay.
And the athletic director is on our school health advisory council.
Okay, great. Okay. The reason I'm asking is that, well, and I'll get with you about it more. I just want to know who would make that decision because of some questions I was asked on the physicals being free, and they had the heart screening that came about, and looking at possibly funding that or how we can make that happen in our district.
Actually, Dr. O'Brien, okayed the kids to get the EKGs.
Oh, okay.
And that's through the Cody Stevens
Right.
Foundation.
Right. Okay. But there's a cost to
Yeah,
it.
there was isn't there like a $20?
It's a $10 cost.
Okay.
It's
$10?
It's
$10?
If they're not here, taking them on the Saturday that we all had them, then it's 20.
Okay.
So it was a $10 cost. How are those physical examinations funded?
Like physicals is through our partnership with Methodist.
It was free, right.
Okay, so Methodist basically paid the cost of the physicals or provided the doctors and nurses, et cetera, that came and did it.
Along with our trainers.
Along with our trainers. And then, so if they wanted to opt in to the EKG, it was an additional $10 for the students, for the
Correct.
families?
Which we were covering. We were covering the EKGs on that Saturday. If they were not able.
If they wanted to have
Why
it.
was there such a low opt-in? I'm sorry, Ellen, we were talking about this earlier, and why was there such a low opt-in rate, do you think, for that?
I do not know. I gave them the paperwork to opt in. Leave it up to the parents. We can't force them to take it.
Sure, absolutely. Can't even force them to come get a physical.
Right. But we did have a young man get flagged.
Right, which I think was a fairly high percentage rate out of the number that actually opted in.
Right.
So, something for our health and wellness. I know that that's, for the whole district as a whole, but even through the athletics department and students who aren't. I don't think you have to be in athletics to come and get your physical through the athletics department, do you?
That weekend, I think you're part of Fine Arts Band, and it's open to anybody who needs a physical.
Anybody who needs a physical for
Correct.
school or what have you, okay.
Yeah, and we go from, I think ours are first, and then we have some surrounding communities come as well.
Okay. Yeah, that was something that we, read the results of some of that and were kind of concerned that opt-in rate was so low and that there are students undetected out there that if we could do something through our process to encourage more of them to participate in that, and it's just another wheel of wellness for our students.
Anybody else?
Okay.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That concludes our superintendent's report this evening. President Clem, and we'll move forward to action items.
Actually, I'm going to call a 5-minute recess so we can check on Ms. Barack Kim. So we'll be back in 5. We will now move to agenda item 9, action items. A, consideration of naming the girls' gym at Ross S. Sterling High School after longtime coach Nadine Horn. Would seek a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Second. I have a motion from Mrs. Guy and a second from Mr. Sampson, sorry about that we approve the naming of the girls' gym at Ross S. Sterling High School after Coach Nadine Horn. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Seeing 5 for, and 2 absent, the motion passes. The next action item is consideration of naming the football stadium at Ross S. Sterling High School after longtime coach Al Dennis. I seek a motion.
Move for approval. Oh, sorry. You do it, Howard.
Second.
I'll second your motion.
I will give the motion from Mr. Sampson and a second from Mrs. Woods that we approve the naming of the football stadium after Coach Al Dennis. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Seeing 5 for and 2 absent, the motion passes. I think applause are in order for both namings. Thank you, everybody who had part in both of those. Now, action item 9C, consideration of consent agenda. Dr. O'Brien.
Yes, administration brings before the Board of Trustees this evening consideration of the consent agenda. C1, donation from Unified Energy Solutions for maintenance department. Number 2, new campus identification number for Goose Creek Virtual Academy 2223. C3, instructional allotment and TEAC certification for 2223. C4, final option to extend CSD for janitorial and maintenance services at the Goose Creek CISD Administration Building. Number 5, final option to extend RFP for student athletic insurance. Number 6, tax refunds. Number 7, budget amendments. Administration brings these consent items to the board for recommending your approval.
Are there any questions or anybody would like to pull an item for consideration? Then I would seek a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second her motion.
I have a motion from Mrs. Guy and a second from Ms. Woods to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Seeing 5 for and 2 absent, the motion passes. The consent agenda is approved. Item D, or 9D, future board agenda items, trainings, and meetings.
Upcoming meeting in June, SLI. Ms. Garcia, you have a date for that?
Well, we have
15, 16, 17? 15, 15.
And the
For San
deadline,
Antonio.
the deadline to let you know
Yesterday.
yesterday. Okay, it's too late if you didn't let me know. Well, okay.
You can probably still get it.
Well, you know we're going to consider your deadline. Yeah, you're in trouble tonight. How much sugar have you had today? Anyone else have a request for agenda items or? Nope. Okay, good. Just out of curiosity, I would like to know how many facilities in Goose Creek have the Methodist Hospital name attached to them in any way. If that could come
through advertisement?
Whether it's through partner in education, whether it's through we put their name on a facility at their behest.
Dr. Bollinger should know the answer to that.
Off the top of my head, we think it's 3, Education Service Center, Scholar Stadium, and then Sterling.
How many of those are paid advertising and how many are MOUs of some sort?
They're all MOUs now. In other words, the trainers that we spoke of earlier, part of the Shack Improvement Program, and then also part of the MOU for the academies, where we engage with students doing their clinicals in the hospital. Seems like there's one more thing we do with the hospital.
Star Wars Stadium, they're the exclusive advertiser.
But they pay for that.
They pay for that.
Yeah.
It's also written as an MOU.
Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else? All right. The board will now recess into a closed session pursuant to the following sections of the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Sections 551.071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, 084, and 087. No action will be taken while the board is in closed meeting. The time is 8:28. All right. The time is 9:50. I'll pull the board back into open session. No decisions were made while the board was in closed session. We're on item G, consideration of personnel. Dr. O'Brien.
Yes, administration brings before the board this evening recommendation to accept the resignations and retirements as presented, as well as the teacher elections.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Mrs. Guy and a second from Mrs. Brock-Tim to approve elections, resignations, and retirements as presented. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. I see 5, 4, and 2 absent. The motion passes.
Administration brings before the board administrative positions this evening. Cammie Johnson, Early Education Natural Resource and Agriculture Coordinator.
Move to approve. I'll second the motion.
I have a motion from Mrs. Brock-Tims and a second from Ms. Woods to approve the Early Education Agricultural Coordinator. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Seeing 5, 4, and 2 absent, the motion passes.
For instructional specialists, special education K through 12, Andrea MacArthur.
Move for approval.
I have a motion from Mrs. Woods and a second from Mrs. Brock-Tim to improve the instructional specialist K-12 special ed. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. I see 5, 4, and 2 absent. The motion passes.
Bring before the board literacy coach specialist Stacy Duhon.
Move for approval.
Second.
And a motion from Ms. Woods and a second from Mrs. Brock-Tims to approve the literary coach specialist. Discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. I see 5, 4, 2 absent. Motion passes.
We bring before the board for consideration 2 educational diagnosticians, Elsa Bernal Izquierdo and Margaret Nolan.
Move for approval. I'll second.
A motion from Ms. Woods and a second from Mrs. Guy to approve 2 educational diagnosticians. Discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. See 5, 4, and 2 absent. Motion passes.
And finally, we bring before the board this evening for consideration college and career counselor at Impact Early College High School, Nautizel Davis.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Mrs. Woods and a second from Mrs. Brock-Tims to approve the high school counselor. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. I see 5, 4, 2 absent. Motion passes. Item G4 will be considered at a future board meeting. It's past my bedtime. And I entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Please. And a second. And we will call this meeting adjourned at 9:54. Thank you, everybody.